everyone, and welcome to Coast Connections. I'm Elizabeth Hines, and today we're going to be talking about a wonderful group of volunteer professionals who are here to help us in our hours of need, whether it be an urban or rural setting. With BC's diverse geography and tremendous outdoor opportunities, we actually have the highest search and rescue incidents or call-outs in Canada. And there's over 80 search and rescue groups and 2,500 volunteers. And we're going to be talking to Arrowsmith Search and Rescue today, who's going to give us a sort of picture of what they do and the type of training, the amazing training they offer their volunteers. Welcome aboard, Ken Peters.
Thanks, Elizabeth, and thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome. Now, you're the president of the Arrowsmith Search and Rescue operation, aren't you, Ken?
That's correct.
Mm-hmm. And you're actually calling in today from your truck, your command truck.
Yes, I'm sitting in our command truck. We actually have two command vehicles. It's a mobile command center. It's got computers and printers and radio equipment and all sorts of other gear that we use to run a search.
So if you get called out, we'll have to end this broadcast and resume it a little bit later.
Yeah, unfortunately, if we do get called out, I will have to leave and take this truck to wherever we need to go to.
Very good. Now, Ken, you've been with the Arrowsmith Search and Rescue for about 6 years in various capacities. Right now, you're president. But tell us a little bit about your background there and training other volunteers as well.
Yeah, as you say, I've been in for just over 6 years. I joined in at the end of 2014. I'm a search manager. I'm a ground search team leader. I'm a member in training on our rope rescue training team. And I'm also one of our trainers. We have the way the training for search and rescue works in British Columbia is the courses are offered by the Justice Institute, the JIBC, which is located in New Westminster, but they train us to train our members. So we have a bunch of JI certified instructors here who train our members. And the actual training program for members is a 90-hour course, goes on over a number of months. So it's quite involved. And that's just to become ground search and rescue. The other areas that we do, like rope rescue or swiftwater rescue, that's additional training.
Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about some of those specific training elements that you have. I was amazed when doing my research how much training actually goes into having your volunteers. It's very, very impressive. You know, when we're in peril or lost out there, it's really, really encouraging to know that those that are looking for us really, really know their stuff and are also putting their lives in danger as well, their own lives. What was your motivation for joining, Ken? Why did you get involved in this work as a volunteer?
That's an interesting question. I had some friends who are members, and they sort of urged me to join. And I was looking for something new to do. And, you know, it's just a great opportunity to get involved with a great bunch of people and to get outside and go places you wouldn't normally go and do things you wouldn't normally do. Mm-hmm. I never set foot in a helicopter before I joined Search and Rescue, and I've got quite a bit of helicopter time now. That's just an example of the kind of things you get to do.
Right. Now, how many call-outs did you have, like prior to COVID in a year around? And then how many during COVID? Because I understand with all of us trying to get outdoors during COVID that your call-outs have really increased.
A typical year for us is around 40 calls. Last year we had close to 60, I believe, which is an increase. It has been increasing year over year, though. For the past 10 years, I think 10 years ago we were at 25, and now we're closer to 50. And that's partially because there's more people moving here. And it's also, you know, another reason is that a lot more people are enjoying outdoor activities these days. And also people are becoming more aware of us, so they're more likely to call on us if they need help. But COVID has certainly increased the numbers all over the province. And that's, I think, because people don't have other outlets for their leisure time. So they're going out and doing hiking and getting involved in outdoor activities.
Mm-hmm. Which is great. We want to encourage people to do that, but we want to make sure that they're safe. And if they are in peril, how they can actually help the rescuers find them as well. We'll touch on that today. Let's talk about some of the amazing training that you do have. Let's touch a little bit on the actual ground search training. What goes into that, Ken?
Well, there's a bunch of different aspects to ground search. There's actually physically going out and searching, which involves a lot of navigational skills. Because, you know, you're given a map and an assignment and you have to cover a certain area of ground. and you have to be able to come back and tell us what you did so that we can mark it off on our status map. So there's a navigation side of it. There's the rescue side of it. So search and rescue members need to know how to handle stretchers as a team, how to move a stretcher, how to correctly package, we call it packaging, but attaching the person to the stretcher so they don't fall out. Those are all skills that we use. If we're moving a stretcher down a hill, we use a rope to limit the potential. If, let's say, a swarm of bees comes out and stings everybody and everybody drops the stretcher, we have to limit the risk of that running away. So we use ropes for that. Yeah, there's a lot of different skills that go into it. A lot of knowledge. Communication is another big one. We use radios, and we try to do that as professionally as possible.
And also tracking skills, looking for footprints or other signs. If you're looking at somebody, talk to us a little bit about some of the tracking skills.
So we have a number of members who've been trained as trackers, and they're very good at it. But we also train everybody to be track aware, so that at the very least they don't mess tracks up. So they learn how to spot things that might be tracks and to preserve those tracks and to call them into our base. And then if it's a significant clue, we can send out a team of trackers to follow those tracks. So that's a skill that everybody gets introduced to, and then some of our members pursue it further, and there's different levels of tracking that you can get.
And Ken, I just want to add, so viewers are aware, you're not just rural or outdoors. I mean, mountains and rivers and things. You actually do urban tracking and rescue and searching as well, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. So we do quite a few of our searches and rescues in the wilderness, but we also get searches for individuals who've gone missing in urban areas. A good example of that in our area is somebody who has Alzheimer's who wanders off. That'll happen from time to time. Or we've had children who have wandered off in urban areas. That's the sort of thing that we get. Yeah.
That's really important, very important work. Let's talk some about the rope rescue training that you do, and what is involved in that. That looks very perilous, and you have to be in very good shape. We've got a picture here of one of your rescuers, one of your volunteers, pardon me, practicing it over the side of a cliff here.
Well, it's a very rigorous certification, and we go to great efforts to make sure that it is not perilous. It's safe, and we have well-defined systems that we use. We do everything we do with redundancy, so it's actually quite safe. But it is a very rigorous training program, and it takes a long time to become rope certified. There's what you would train with the team for some period of time. And that would be years, and then when we feel like you're ready, you go off and get a weekend of instruction, followed by 4 weeks later by a weekend of evaluation.
Wow.
It's a tough certification to get.
Yeah,
it's very technical.
The swift water rescue training that's involved. Again, this is very, very risky business. You have to be very well trained.
Water is really dangerous. Water scares me more than cliffs, actually, because there's so many factors that are difficult to control for. So yeah, we have a swift water rescue team, and they're trained to spot hazards. Everything we do risk evaluations. And so the risk evaluations, we assess what the risks are, and then we assess our capability to respond safely. So there's a two-part aspect to that. And that's a major focus of everything we do. Can we do it safely?
Now, tell us a bit about the types of volunteers, like who's actually volunteering for search and rescue groups in your group as well?
We have quite a wide spectrum of individuals. We have a number of retired people. It's a great thing to do if you're retired. Most of our members are pretty keen on being outdoors. They're hikers and campers, and some of them are climbers. We have a high level of first aid in our team. That's another area of training that we do. We also have a place for people who are not as keen to be in the wilderness. We have a support team, and they do all kinds of things to help us out during searches for logistics and that sort of thing. So we have some members there who are not necessarily up to going out into the woods, but they can still they'll help us out. And actually, we're currently looking for more support team members if anybody's interested.
Mm-hmm. We've got your website up on the screen, and we'll have people contact you and see how they might become involved there, Ken. And about how many hours a year would they have to be training? Is it about the 90 hours to become a basic member of the team?
In your first year, you're probably going to do about 120 hours of GSAR training. After that, we have a minimum of 50 hours a year of training, which is an hour a week. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Most of our members exceed that by a wide margin, though. And if you are on a specialty team like rope or swiftwater, then you're going to do additional hours on top of that.
And you also have a UTV, which is a utility transport vehicle that you just acquired, and also an ATV team. And folks are using their own ATVs, but I believe that you purchased the UTV for the group.
That was a recent acquisition, and since we got it, I don't know how we got by without it. It's extremely useful. We have a attachment system, so we can put a stretcher in the back of it. It sticks out and transport our subjects. I got strapped to the stretcher one day and went for a ride in it, and it's amazingly smooth. It's got this air suspension or something in it, and it can go down really rough roads and give the subject a very smooth ride, which is actually really important because they may well have serious injuries, and for their comfort, the UTV is really useful, not to mention speed.
Yes, and also bringing your crew in. Many people on one vehicle makes for a shorter search time, which is a life and death situation.
That's right.
Ken, speaking of life and death situation, I want to talk a little bit about the rescue that your team participated in, had a key role in at Little Qualcombe Falls last December. We've got an incredible photo here of the rope rescue with one of your members going down to rescue this fellow flailing there in the water, hanging onto a log. Tell us a bit about that, Ken. What was that like?
The member you're talking about is Nick Rivers. He's on our rope team and our swiftwater team, fortunately, so he's able to do both aspects of it. We got a call that somebody was in the river, and we were able to respond very quickly because we have response vehicles that have code 3 lighting, so we can do lights and sirens to get there, and that was critically important. This fellow ended up in the water, went down some rapids, got himself onto a log somehow above the next set of falls, which was quite far, and then hung on. He must have had an amazing will to live to hang on as long as he did, because that water was very cold. And we managed to lower Nick down on our rope system, and he managed to get a hold of the subject, get him into a harness, and we pulled him up and got him to a waiting ambulance. And I should mention, we did that with the help of some local fire departments. Deep Bay, I think Bullhorn was there, and Whiskey Creek, Coombs Hilliers rather. And also BC Ambulance was there, and we got some help from some of our neighboring SAR teams as well.
And that 30-year-old man survived this very harrowing incident. He was just a few meters from actually going over the waterfall. And as you say, Nick Rivers there was, put his life in jeopardy to save this man. So That's tremendous. So Ken, when people are going out, I know it's just we have so many opportunities to be out and about on the land and the water here, but what are some of the things that we can do to prevent ourselves from getting in trouble in the first place and not having to have you good people respond? Let's talk about that STOP acronym, the sit, think, observe, and plan.
Well, that's something you can do if you start thinking that you're lost. Is don't panic. Because if you sometimes when you get disoriented, your first reaction is to just choose the direction and start running.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee you're not going in a straight line. Just make it worse. So that's where that STOP acronym comes from. The things you can do to help yourself, well, first of all, make sure that somebody knows where you're going. And if you tell somebody where you're going, go there. Don't go somewhere else. We've had that happen where we had an indication of where somebody was planning to go, and we went there and searched, and that's not where they were. So The other thing you can do is carry some gear that will help you out if you do have to spend some time out there. A space blanket is really great. They weigh nothing. Some extra water, extra food, maybe some extra clothing. You never know when the weather's going to change. And carry a whistle. Whistles are a fantastic tool. I've been on searches where, the light ran out, it got dark. We heard somebody blow a whistle, and we were able to locate that person, and they would have spent the whole night out if they hadn't had a whistle. I can't overemphasize the importance of that.
Yeah. And if you do happen to get into a perilous situation, talk about how you can help signal search and rescue people that might be out looking for you.
Well, I already mentioned the whistle. That's a good way. Yelling, calling out is very helpful. If you can start a fire, and that's nothing you should carry as fire starting gear. If you can start a fire, the smoke would be really useful, as long as you're not going to start a forest fire. If you have a compass, compasses often have mirrors in their lids. You can use that to signal. If you're carrying, I carry a little orange bivy sack, and it's about this big, and it weighs almost nothing, and it's this big orange bag. It would also make a great signaling device because you can see it from the air very easily. So anything that you can lay out, your space blanket can work that way too. If you lay it out in an open space, it'd be visible.
And also, Ken, using your own body, like it's difficult to see someone, especially in an aerial search, someone standing up. But if you, lay down and make yourself as big as you can, that also helps you locate those who are lost. Talk about the threes, the sort of international distress signal if you have threes.
Well, there's the three fires in a triangle. I can't remember the rest of them.
The three signals with the whistle.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. A blast of a three whistle blast indicates that you want help.
Yeah.
So if I was stuck in the woods and I thought that somebody might be able to hear me, I'd be blowing three blasts and then waiting for a while and then groups of three. I guess if you're a hunter, you could do 3 gunshots like that too.
And same with the mirror that you mentioned earlier. 3 different intervals of the mirror also helps. Yeah. Sure. Ken, you've got this incredible device called a Project Lifesaver device. What is that? Something on your wrist and then like almost a drone-like aerial or something there? We have a photo of it up.
The Project Lifesaver it uses the same system they use to track wildlife. So that the patients or people who are, their loved ones are worried about them wandering off, so they get a bracelet. And the bracelet is a radio transmitter, and it just sends out a beep every few seconds. And then we have an antenna system, a handheld antenna system that we can hold, and it's directional. So when you point it directly at the source, it beeps louder, and when you move it away, it's quieter. So you can just stand there and sweep around, and when you pick up a signal, a faint signal, you can home in on it. And as you get it closer, the signal gets louder. And we have a number of people in the Oceanside area who are enrolled in that program. And I'll just share a story with you. One time we got a call for an Alzheimer's patient who had wandered off, and he had the Project Lifesaver bracelet on. And one of our search managers put a receiver on the roof of his car, started driving along, and heard the signal. And I think it was 12 minutes from the time he started searching to the time he had the guy safe and sound. And I'll contrast that with another search we did for somebody who had Alzheimer's who wandered off, and we never did find him. So it can really, really help. The average search time for somebody who's wearing one of those bracelets is 30 minutes.
Wow. And where are those available, Ken? Are they widely available?
You can check on our website. It's called, just Google Project Lifesaver. There's an organization in IMO that actually administers it, and we do the search part. So if you Google Project Lifesaver, you'll find lots of material.
And another good tip is AdventureSmart BC, or adventuresmart.ca, I think it is.
That's right.
There's a wonderful app on there, Ken, that people can download and do all the things we talked about. Plan your trip, plan ahead, let people know, where you're going, have the right gear, and know your limits. How many people go out there and, do a hike or a water adventure beyond their capabilities? I'm sure you see that a lot.
The app will allow you to enter a trip plan, and it also has a function so that you can email that trip plan to somebody, or more than one person actually. So that's really useful. And knowing your limits is important. And also understanding the environment, knowing that the weather can change, realizing that you have, so many hours of daylight left. So you don't keep walking till you run out of daylight. You turn around before that. That's actually a common way of getting lost here is people running out of daylight.
Ken, do you run into people who are reluctant to call for help because they might be a bit embarrassed or they don't want to put people, out? But do you encounter that a fair bit?
Yeah, people are sometimes slow to call. A lot of our calls come quite late at night because of that. Yeah, if somebody's overdue home, people will think, well, I'll give them another hour. We're quite happy if you call us out. Another issue that I wouldn't mind mentioning is that some people think they might be charged, money for the search, and that delays them. That never happens. We don't charge anybody for search, and nobody in search and rescue wants to ever do that because we want people to call for help when they need it.
That's marvelous. What an incredible service that you're doing. Now, all of this takes tremendous training, as you mentioned, through the Justice Institute, and Emergency BC pays, obviously for some of that. But you folks have to purchase your own equipment, I think, mostly. Is that true?
We purchase group equipment mostly using gaming grants and also money that BC SAR provides us. That's the BC Search Rescue Association. But personal gear like pants and hiking boots and that sort of thing, and clothing we buy ourselves. We buy our own 24-hour packs. That's the packs we carry when we're out because we always have to assume we might spend the night in the bush. Various things like that. And we have GPS devices here that we give people to take out, but most of our members own their own GPS device. It's just easier to use if you have your own and you get used to using it.
Right.
Some of our members buy their own radios, although we do have radios for people. So yeah, it's a mix. Some of the equipment is provided, and some of it we do buy.
And so, if viewers want to donate or help support you, you're a registered charity, and you're wide open for any aid that the community might want to offer you. Ken, tell us a bit about the new building that you're moving into at the Qualicum Beach Airport and fundraising you need for that.
Yeah, we are building a new search hall at the Qualicum Airport. We have our existing hall is here in Whiskey Creek. We share the building with the Coons Hillers Fire Department. We've outgrown it. We've been working on increasing our response capability. In the process, we've purchased a lot of vehicles and other things, and we just need a bigger hall. So we started building the one down in at the Qualicum Airport, and the grounds were generously leased to us for 40 years by the city for $1 a year. So that got us started, and we had funding in place. We had the money saved up, and then we started, and then COVID hit, and the cost went way up. So now we're getting a mortgage. We have a mortgage actually from the Coastal Credit Union. They've been great to us, but we may have to borrow up to $500,000, and that's going to place a fairly big drain on our resources. That's money we'd rather use for training and equipment. So we are fundraising. If you go to our website, just press the donate button. It tells you how you can donate. We have a form there where you can donate using a credit card, or there's other ways to donate. So we'd be very grateful for any help that anybody can give us. And we have received quite a bit of support from the community as well. Wonderful.
That's great to hear. Ken, what are the top sort of 3 tips that you would like viewers to know if they're going outdoors, this spring and summer? What are the top 3 or 4 things that you'd like them to know? We've got just a couple of minutes left here.
Well, very definitely tell somebody where you're going. That's the number one thing. We can't search for you if we don't have a starting point. Like if we know that you're going up the CPR trail and we find your car there, then we know where we're looking. Very definitely carry the extra gear that you might need. Think about what's going to happen if I have to spend the night there, because it could happen. What's going to happen if the weather changes? A flashlight, that's another thing you should carry. So signaling equipment like a whistle, a flashlight, fire starter, some sort of space blanket, that sort of thing is very important.
And some extra food and extra clothing as well, and a fully charged cell phone and a battery pack also if you've got
That's a really good point, because we can use your cell phone to locate you. So carry your cell phone. Don't wait till you're almost out of battery before you call for help.
Yeah.
And if you do need help, call 911. That's the way this works. If you call 911.
Mm-hmm. And if you do change your plan, if you have told people where you're going and you change your plan, what do you need to do?
Give somebody a text. Let them know.
Exactly. So when, and if we do have to call you, you'll know where to zero in on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ken, any closing thoughts from you today?
No, I think we've covered a lot of material here. We really appreciate your getting our story out. We really appreciate the support we've been getting from the community. A lot of people are helping us out, and it makes a big difference to us.
What was one of the most memorable reactions that you had for someone that you rescued?
Most people are a little embarrassed when they're rescued because, nobody wants to call for help. Generally, people are fairly subdued. They're often cold, so they're not going to be jumping up and down for joy. Sometimes it's relief. I mean, there's been so many of them. It's hard to pick one out.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ken, thank you for all the tremendous volunteer work that you're doing, and your team there at Arrowsmith, and the other 80 search and rescue groups around the province. What a vital component you are to our communities, to our quality of life, and to our health and safety. So we hope the fundraising goes well for your equipment and building that you require there at the Arrowsmith Search and Rescue. And be safe out there, Ken. Very nice to talk to you.
Thanks very much, Elizabeth.
Very nice. And, Arrowsmith Search and Rescue, a reflection of all the search and rescue groups here in BC who are, saving lives by bringing the lost and injured home.
Yes,
and what a wonderful word is home if you're lost. And what a welcoming sight it must be to see you and your team show up, Ken. So thank you so much. And we hope that you can help support or donate or your time or money any way that you can to help with search and rescue efforts here in BC. We've been talking to Ken Peters, and he's the president of Arrowsmith Search and Rescue. And we'll see you next time on Coast Connections. Thanks for watching.